What's shaking, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Shay, and today is 1 week, 1 jar, week 2. Last week I did new books, new releases, and I read 4 2025 releases. So if you missed that, if you want to see that, I will link it up in the cards. But this week I decided to go back to checking off some goals, and that's going to be to dig into my owned jar. Now this jar has every book that I own, either ebook, physically, audiobook. It has every single book in there. And I'll be honest, if the book that I pull does not have an audiobook, I'm gonna have to pass. My mental capacity is not there because of some things that have happened in my life, and my mental capacity is not there to physically read. So I'm going to pick one of these and hope that it has an audiobook that I can obtain. I have some behemoths in here, so let's hope I don't get one of those. But here we go. Here is book number 1 for the week. Okay. Lord, this just reminds me that I have so many unread books because the jar is overflowing. Okay. This is The Collected Regrets of Clover, and this is, I own this in physical copy. I have the Book of the Month edition. I know this is likely going to be a sad book and very true to what is happening or you know, what my life is. So I'm interested to try it and interested to see what kind of perspective I will have on this book. It is right here. I have it right here. It's rather short, so I think I can get through it rather quickly. It says, what's the point of giving someone a beautiful death if you can't give yourself a beautiful life? Let's try it out, and I will pop in maybe when I'm 50% in. Hopefully I won't finish the book before I update, because sometimes I'm really bad about that. But I will give you my thoughts when I get into the book. Okay, I am 50% into The Collected Regrets of Clover, and unfortunately this is going to be a DNF for me, and I had a sneaking suspicion that probably would be what would end up happening, and I don't know why. I thought that reading about things that I deal with in life on a regular basis, that I do for a living, would be different in a book form than TV form, because when I watch like a show that's dealing with what I do for a living, I'm like, oh, that's very unrealistic and I can't watch it. But of course when this book came out, I was like, oh yeah, this is interesting, I want to read it. And again, I'm finding it very unrealistic and too close to what I do for a living. So anyway, this is following our main character Clover, who is sort of fascinated with death from a very young age because her kindergarten teacher drops dead in front of them. And so then she's also had this tragic upbringing of her parents dying and then her grandfather having to raise her. And we're kind of bouncing back and forth between past timeline Clover and current timeline Clover. Current timeline Clover is a death doula, and that's somebody who basically spends somebody's last moments, seconds, minutes, hours, weeks, months with somebody who is dying, and maybe they help them accomplish something that they wish they would have accomplished in life. That is what Clover does for a living. My issue with that is I have seen more people die. I have spent last moments with more people than I can ever count, and it is just not realistically done in this book. I feel like death is kind of glamorized. There's a couple of passages which she actually does touch on how death cannot be glorious. So there are a couple of passages, but I just feel like the way that Clover handles it is not really the way that real life is. Of course, though, this is a fiction book, so it's not supposed to be real life. But it is very difficult to kind of unplug from my everyday life of doing this for a living to reading about somebody who is doing something similar or seeing something similar to what I see every day, and them coming out with a widely different view than me. So, any whoosies, we have Clover, and My problem with this book also is that it is so slow. At the 50% mark, we're just getting to a point where I think there might be an actual story here. For 50% of this book, we have just basically learned about Clover as a person and how she came to be this death doula, and maybe some things in the past that have influenced her as a person, and just that she's an awkward person without any friends, and she's kind of going on this journey and she's finding some friends, and there is a man kind of love thing that is happening, but there's no real actual plot. At the 50% mark, I finally figured out what the plot is going to be, but it took a very, very long time to get there. And so I'm going to go ahead and DNF this because I just don't see this being more than a 3-star read for me. And of course, I'm not trying to have any more 3-star reads. I don't want to get in a slump, so I'm going to put this one down. That means it is time to draw out another book. So here we go. Okay, here it is. Okay, this is The Sword of Kaigen. That is a hefty boy, and I have not read fantasy in some time. The Sword of Kaigen. That is a hefty boy. I do own this physically. I have the Wraith Marked Special Edition. I also own this on audio, I think. So, great. This is probably going to be the last book in this vlog because it's so long, but we'll see how far I can get into the book, and I will kind of pop in with my thoughts. Probably more than once for this long book, but we'll see. Okay, let's hope that I love this. I am 30% into The Sword of Kaigen, and I can definitively say that this is going to be 5 stars because I love the characters, I love the tone of the story, and I love the plot. I love everything about the story, and it reminds me a lot of the Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee in its character work and its tone. While I did give the Greenbone Saga 4 stars overall, it drew those emotions out of me, and I think that this book also is going to draw the emotions out of me. But I would compare them so far in tone and character work. I am super enjoying my time. We are following 2 points of view. We are following a 14-year-old boy and his mother. And as far as his mother goes, they live in Kaigen, and in Kaigen, they are this powerful family, powerful warrior family. The mother is married to a powerful warrior, and they have this son together. They have multiple sons together, but basically her role in the family is just to provide sons. And the heartbreaking journey of what she used to be, because she's not from Kaigen, she is from outside of Kaigen, and she kind of goes back and looks back on what her life used to be, and she's grieving the life that she could have had, and now to know what she has gone through with marrying this man and having his children, and how much of a struggle that was for her to lose her identity and have to just be this meek wife that's having these children. Oh my gosh, so much emotions out of me. So we're getting her points of view of that, and we're getting her 14-year-old son's point of view. The 14-year-old son, of course, is being held to a very, very high standard. He has to be the best warrior, the best everything, and of course he feels like he's falling a little short of this, and he meets this outsider who has joined his warrior school, and the outsider basically tells him that everything he knew about the government and everything that he knew about past wars, past history is a lie. And so he is struggling with that knowledge and trying to figure out what's true, what's not true. Overall, this is just a really super thought-provoking, engaging story, and it tackles topics that I've never seen any book tackle. Kudos to that. There's a lot of emotions, a ton of emotions though in this book, and I know that this book is going to break me. I've seen the vlogs, I've seen the people crying, and so I know that I'm going to be one of those people. But honestly, like, we read sometimes to feel something, and I am feeling a lot when I'm reading this book, and I'm sure I'm going to feel a lot more. But I'm going to keep reading because I really can't put this book down, and I'm going to check in later. Maybe if my thoughts change, I don't know. I will let you guys know how I feel in a little while. Let's check, because I finished The Sword of Kaigen 5 stars. Absolutely no doubt about it. I said it from the beginning that I knew that this book was going to be 5 stars. I think that honestly though, that if I was a epic fantasy reader and I was looking for epic fantasy, this probably would not scratch that itch. So I know that the people that don't give it 5 stars probably go into it thinking that it is something that it is not. While there is fantasy, there is a magic system in here, there is fighting in here. I think at the heart of the story, we're looking at loss and grief and losing the life that you thought you would have, just the disappointments of life, how you feel about that, how you work through that, lessons about family and growth as people. And there's just so many lessons to learn, and it's not necessarily the fantasy elements that make this story so fantastic. I normally don't get into fight scenes. Like, I sometimes will skim over the pages in a book. This book kept me engaged. I thought the fight scenes were excellent. I did not skip over a single bit of them. I enjoyed and kept up with everything that was going on. This, of course, is a heartbreaking story. Okay, it does tackle these heavy subjects and what motherhood means and sacrifice, and just, this is an excellent read. And maybe it's not like the epic fantasy that somebody was looking for when they read this, but this is exactly what I needed at this current moment in time. And this is a beautiful book, and I cannot wait to read Blood Over Brighthaven for that reason. With that being said, it's time to pull from the jar again. I am gonna have time to read one more book, and I think that that is fine. I would like an audiobook, because as I'm commuting, you know, I'm listening. I need something to listen to. So if I do pull like a physical book that I only have a physical copy of, I probably will pull again. For now, let's hope that I get a book that does have an audiobook. I'm having a rough week. My car broke down, just life update, and we had to put it in the shop, and then we got it back, and it was astronomical amount of money to fix it. And so that's how my week is going. But we're gonna draw out of this own jar again and see what we get. So far I've had a DNF and a 5 star. So what else can happen? Here it is. Okay, this is very interesting because this is The Wedding People, which I also own physically. So that's really weird that life is doing this to me. So let's talk about this for a minute, because last week I was doing the new releases chart, and it didn't give me like any series that I would have continued on with. I think I got a series and then I didn't like the book, so I wasn't going to continue on. But it gave me a lot of standalones, didn't start new series. This whole, all I have in here, okay, a lot of fantasy books, a lot of first books in series, okay? Like, majority of this jar is first books in series. And look, it has given me 3 standalones. 3. So the jar is trying to help out the TBR, the series TBR. It's trying to help me out, say, no, don't start any new series. I'm telling you, what a great month of May that I'm having. Anyway, so I am going to read The Wedding People, which is up here, and also 3 physical copies of my TBR. But I'm going to go read The Wedding People, and I'll check in, hopefully 50% mark, and I'll see you then. Okay. Let's chat about The Wedding People, because I finished this. I listened to an audiobook. I had a lot of commuting with work and finished it before I could update you guys. This one won a Goodreads Choice Award in 2024. It won I think it won the Lolly. It was a Lolly finalist. It was the Book of the Year finalist for BOTM in 2024. Like, people love this. People love this book. I come very mixed. There were moments that this book was a 5-star read, and there were moments when I absolutely despised it, and I kind of felt about this book the same way that I felt about Love and Other Words. I said when I read Love and Other Words that there were, again, moments that I loved, 5 stars, loved it, gushed it, but there were moments that I absolutely positively hated, and this book felt the same way. So in this book, we are following our main character, Phoebe. And Phoebe has gone through a divorce. Her husband cheated on her. She has gone through infertility. Unfortunately, she has had miscarriages. Her IVFs never worked. She just basically cannot have her own children, and at this point in time she's 40 years old, and she has always dreamed of going to this hotel in Cornwall, and that is where she goes to commit suicide. So she books a night stay. She doesn't bring any luggage. She doesn't bring anything, because her sole purpose is, I'm just going to walk in here and I'm going to commit suicide, because she is very, very depressed. When she gets there, she realizes that she's the only guest in the entire hotel that is not part of a wedding party. And she meets the bride in an elevator, and the bride's like, who are you? This is a mistake. Like, everybody in this hotel is supposed to be part of the wedding party. What are you doing here? And she said, well, I'm here to commit suicide. So she's being very honest with these people, and in that conversation sprouts a kind of friendship that has her spending a week with these people. And of course there's like a romance element to it. I can't spoil the book for you, but I've read a lot of conversations about this, and a lot of people didn't like the suicide aspect of the story, about how she kind of pivoted from wanting to commit suicide to being okay. That part didn't bother me. I think situational depression is very, very real, and so you have this short bursts, short moments in life where you are feeling down, and yes, that can make you want to commit suicide. As soon as that situation improves, then genuinely your depression improves to where you don't want to commit suicide. Situational depression is a thing, regardless of whether people think it is or not. I kind of find it very weird that people would gatekeep any kind of mental health. What you have experienced in mental health is not necessarily what somebody else experiences in mental health, and that does grate my nerves a lot when people come calling for books that didn't do mental health representation very well, because I'm like, well, how do you know? How do you know? Are you a psychiatrist, psychologist that has explored mental health in as detail as they have explored it? I don't like to gatekeep mental health. Okay. We all have our own journeys, our own experiences, and I'm not here to do that. So the aspect of the story that I didn't like, of course, is the predictable romantic element, which is a big, big portion of the story. I did not care for the bride character, Lila. I didn't really care for our main character that much. And of course, this predictable romance, and I can't spoil this, but it is not one that I rooted for. It is not one that was... I'm going to say this real quick because I don't think that I could... So if you don't want a spoiler for this book, if you don't want a spoiler for this book, I will keep spoiler on the screen and it will pop off when I'm done. But I will not champion a book or give a book 5 stars, or if cheating is a part of the story. Okay, whether that be physical cheating or emotional cheating. I don't think any kind of cheating is right. And our main character, Phoebe, was cheated on, and her husband left her for another woman, and here she is becoming the other woman. And that is not something that I personally, again, champion. And I don't care if the person that he is with doesn't like him either. Like, I don't care that their relationship is doomed or whatever. Like, that's just not something I can root for. So overall, spoilers are off. So overall, I'm going to give it 3 stars, because while there are aspects, again, that I really championed, that I really loved, there were aspects in here that I just couldn't get down with. And I hate that. I hate that. But I did read it all the way through. I did, enjoy my time for a lot of the book and the conversation about grief. And again, I'm a person of grief. I like to hear about maybe losing something, or your life is looking different than you thought it was. It's very kind of real lifey to me right here at this moment. So, but I still have to give it 3 stars because I still just can't get down with that big portion of the book. Okay, so that is going to be it. That's all the books that I have to read for Own Books. And I actually went back and saw that in the last vlog, I actually read all standalones, and in this vlog, I read all standalones. So isn't that interesting? Because somebody is with me. They're thinking about me and not starting series. I will see you guys next week with a new journey into picking out of these jars.